So Henry was the first to give a quantitative relationship between pressure and solubility of a gas in a solvent, which is known as Henry's law. The partial pressure of the gas in vapor phase is proportional to the mole fraction of the gas in the solution. On comparison of Rolle's law and Henry's law, it is observed that the total pressure of volatile component or gas is directly proportional to its mole fraction. Hello everyone, this is Ambli Unnikrishnan from the Department of Chemistry. So today I am back with session 3 of the chapter Solutions. So in the last session we discussed mole fraction, molality and solubility. We started off with solubility of solid in liquid solutions, right? So in today's session we are going to study the solubility of gas in liquid, as well as we are going to study Henry's law, applications of Henry's law, and move on to the next topic, that is vapor pressure of liquid solutions we are going to discuss. Okay, so first let us understand solubility of gas in liquid. So in last session we studied solubility of solid in liquid, wherein we studied the effect of temperature and pressure, right? So now we are going to see the solubility of gas in liquid. So first of all, where is this important? Solubility of a gas in a liquid. Already in the first session we have discussed about this. First one is aerated drinks it is used, that is your carbonated drinks like Coca-Cola, all of that, right? And dissolved oxygen in water bodies, it supports the aquatic life, or natural instance of solubility of gas in liquid. Already we have discussed this. Then hydrogen chloride gas is also soluble in water. Now solubility of gas in liquid is highly affected by temperature and pressure. So while we were discussing solubility of solid in liquid, we studied that there is no effect of pressure of solubility of solid in liquid because solid is highly incompressible. But coming on to gas is highly compressible. So of course there is a major effect of change in temperature and pressure on the solubility of gas in liquid, right? So Henry was the first to give a quantitative relationship between pressure and solubility of a gas in a solvent, which is known as Henry's law. So he was able to give a quantitative relationship between pressure and solubility. Okay, so what is Henry's law? Let us understand, which is very, very important. Okay, so the statement as well as the mathematical expression is very important. You will get numericals also from this part. So it states that at a constant temperature, the solubility of a gas in a liquid is directly proportional to the partial pressure of the gas. Okay, that is at a constant temperature, the solubility of gas, that is how much the gas can be soluble in a liquid, will be dependent, or it is directly proportional to the partial pressure of the gas. So the solubility of a gas in a liquid solution is a function of partial pressure of the gas. If we use the mole fraction of a gas in the solution as a measure of its solubility, then it can be said that. That means we are going to talk solubility in terms of mole fraction, right? So the partial pressure of the gas in vapor phase is proportional to the mole fraction of the gas in the solution. That means, first what did we study in the first statement? We discussed that the partial pressure is directly proportional to the solubility. Now solubility we can also talk in terms of mole fraction. So what does that mean? Partial pressure will be directly proportional to the mole fraction. Okay, so that is what the sentence means. So from that, to remove the proportionality, we can introduce a constant. So this is the final equation of Henry's law, that is partial pressure of the gas is equal to KH. KH stands for Henry's constant into chi. Now what is this chi? Mole fraction. P is equal to KH into chi is the expression for Henry's law. So I hope it is clear. So this is the expression for Henry's law, that is partial pressure is directly proportional to the mole fraction at a constant temperature. Right. Now a graph between partial pressure of the gas versus mole fraction of the gas in the solution gives a linear graph. Just now we studied that partial pressure of the gas will be directly proportional to the mole fraction. In that case, it will be a straight line, right? Directly proportional. It will be a linear graph. Higher the value of KH at a given pressure, lower is the solubility of the gas in the liquid. Okay, so when temperature increases, what happens to the KH value? KH value increases and the solubility will decrease. So this relation is very important to remember. When the Henry's constant increases, so this relation is very important to remember. When the temperature increases, Henry's constant also increases, but the solubility of the gas will decrease. So this is very important in some applications which we are going to study further. Clear? Now moving on to the effect of temperature. The solubility of gases in liquids decreases with a rise in temperature. So when temperature increases, what happens to the solubility of gas in liquid? It decreases. When temperature increases, solubility decreases. Right. The dissolution of gas in liquid is an exothermic process, involves dynamic equilibrium, and thus must follow Le Chatelier's principle. As temperature increase, the solubility of the gas will decrease according to Le Chatelier's principle. So effect of temperature, I hope it is clear. When temperature increases, solubility of gas in liquid will decrease. Clear? Now moving on to the applications of Henry's law, which is also a very important part for your examination point of view. Right. So the first one is to increase the solubility of carbon dioxide in soda, water and soft drinks. Bottles are sealed under high pressure of carbon dioxide. So the carbonated drinks like Coca-Cola, in all of that, the fizz that you can see once you open the bottle, that is carbon dioxide, right? So to increase the solubility of the carbon dioxide in the Coca-Cola or whatever carbonated drinks you are using, to increase the solubility of the carbon dioxide, it is stored under that bottle under very high pressure. Right. So when we open the bottle, the pressure is released and the carbon dioxide gas will escape. That is what you are seeing as the gas or the fizz. I hope it is clear. So why it is stored under high pressure? When pressure is increased, what happens? Solubility will also increase. That is why it is stored under high pressure, so that the carbon dioxide will be more soluble in the solution. Now, the next one is solubility of a gas increases with decrease in temperature. Due to this, aquatic animals are more comfortable in cold water rather than warm water. So, this is a question which is asked in your previous years also. Why aquatic animals can survive in cold water more than in warm water? That is because when temperature increases, the solubility of the gases will decrease. We have already studied that, right? When temperature increases, what happens? Solubility of the gases will decrease. So when solubility of oxygen in the water is decreasing, it becomes difficult for the aquatic animals to breathe, right? So temperature increases means what? It is becoming warm. So in warm water, the solubility will be less and it becomes difficult. So that is why the aquatic animals prefer low temperature, that is cold water, so that more oxygen is dissolved in the water and more oxygen will be available for them. Next one is oxygen cylinders used by sea divers, that is scuba divers, are filled with air which is diluted with helium to minimize the solubility of nitrogen in the blood by decreasing its partial pressure to avoid the risk of bends. Okay, so those who are going for scuba diving, they'll usually carry a cylinder which they use to take up air, right? So it is not pure oxygen which is present in there, it is mixed with helium to decrease the partial pressure of nitrogen. So the cylinder that they are carrying is not completely pure oxygen, it is mixed with helium. Okay, so it is used to minimize the solubility of nitrogen, because if the amount of nitrogen or the solubility of nitrogen increases in the body, it causes a condition which is called as bends. So to avoid this and to decrease the solubility of nitrogen, we use helium in that air that is carried by the scuba divers. The last one is at high altitudes, partial pressure of oxygen is less than that at ground level. This leads to low concentration of oxygen in the blood and tissues of mountain climbers. Low blood oxygen causes climbers to become weak and unable to think, and this is called as anoxia. This condition is called as anoxia. So as we climb above and above the mountains or move to high altitude areas, what happens? The availability of oxygen will be less because there will be less oxygen. That is, the concentration or the partial pressure of the oxygen decreases. So what happens? There will be only less availability of oxygen in our body as well. So because of that, what happens? Low concentration of oxygen is present in our body and it causes a deadly condition which is called as anoxia. So these are the few applications of Henry's law which is relating between partial pressure and the solubility of the gas, which is very important. Right. Moving on to the next important topic, that is vapor pressure of liquid solutions. So you can say from the name itself, vapor pressure. It is the pressure exerted by the gas, right? In that way you can say. So pressure exerted by the molecules of vapor phase on the liquid phase is called as vapor pressure. So you can see here water is taken here and there will be water vapor or the gas molecules. The gas molecules of water is water vapor, right? So you can see what happens, it evaporates. So that means if I am heating this up, water will be converted into water vapor. And what happens, this gas particles will hit each other in the walls. That is the pressure exerted by the gas, right? And it will be exerting a pressure on this liquid surface that is called as vapor pressure. Okay, so vapor pressure is the pressure exerted by the molecules of vapor phase on the liquid phase. It is called as vapor pressure, right? So based on this also there is a very important law which we have to study, which is Rolle's law. So Rolle's law is actually another version of Henry's law. So first let's understand what is Rolle's law. So Rolle's law of liquid in liquid solutions, it states that for a solution of volatile liquids, the partial pressure of each component in the solution is directly proportional to its mole fraction. That is partial pressure of a component. That means let's assume that in my particular solution, I have two components A and B. So the partial pressure of A will be directly proportional to the mole fraction of A, and partial pressure of B will be more directly proportional to the mole fraction of B. Clear? So let us consider a binary solution of two liquids and denote it as 1 and 2. So the solution is containing only two components, 1 and 2. So let P1 and P2 be the partial vapor pressure of the two components 1 and 2. Now why exactly it is called as partial pressure? Because you have 1 and 2 here, two components. It's not completely 1 or 2, it's a mixture of 1 and 2 components. So you cannot say that it's the pressure of 1 or pressure of 2. You can say it is a partial pressure of 1, right? Because there is a effect of 2 as well, even if the 1 is present there. So that is why it is called as a partial pressure. Clear? Now these partial pressures are related to the mole fraction chi1 and chi2 of the two components 1 and 2. So as discussed, the partial pressure of first component will be directly proportional to the mole fraction of that. So again, to remove the proportionality, we introduce a constant which is P1 naught. Okay, so P1 is the partial pressure of the first component and P1 naught is the vapor pressure of the pure component 1. That is, pure component 1 means where there is no presence of component 2. What is the vapor pressure exerted by the component 1? That is called as that is called as P1 naught. Clear? Now similarly for component 2, then what it will be? P2 will be directly proportional to chi2, right? P2 will be directly proportional to the mole fraction. P2 will be directly proportional to chi2. So removing the proportionality, we'll get P2 is equal to P2 naught into chi2. Now what will be P2 naught? P2 naught will be the pure vapor pressure of the component 2, wherein there is no presence of component 1. Okay, P1 and P2 are the ones wherein you will have the presence of the other component also. P1 naught and P2 naught are for the pure vapor pressures, wherein the other component is not considered. Okay, so P2 naught is the vapor pressure of the pure component 2. Clear? Now according to Dalton's law of partial pressure, the total pressure is the sum of partial pressures of all components at the same temperature. So the total pressure will be the sum of all these partial pressures, right? So P total will be P1 plus P2, of course. Now what is P1? P1 we have already derived, it is P1 naught into chi1. P2 is what? P2 naught into chi2. So that we are going to represent here. Now we have already studied this equation while studying mole fraction, that is chi1 plus chi2 will be equal to 1, right? So here in chi1 we can represent it as chi1 is equal to 1 minus chi2. Right, we can just write it in this form. So instead of writing chi1 here, you can write 1 minus chi2. So P1 naught into 1 minus chi2 plus P2 naught into chi2. Now what we are going to do? We are going to take this P1 naught inside. So P1 naught into 1 is P1 naught minus P1 naught into chi2, that you will have here. And then P2 naught into chi2 is already here. So now in this much part, what is common? Chi2 is common, right? So we can take the chi2 outside. So what you will have here? P2 naught minus P1 naught, right? P2 naught minus P1 naught, and this P1 naught is already here. So this is the equation for P total, that is P1 naught plus P2 naught minus P1 naught into chi2 according to Dalton's law of partial pressure. Okay, so I hope the Rolle's law is clear for you. So now the plots of P1 and P2 versus the mole fraction chi1 and chi2 for a solution at constant temperature are linear as shown in the graph here. So you can see here the graph in this point chi1 is equal to 1. That means the mole fraction of the first component is equal to 1 and the mole fraction of the second component is 0. That means there is no presence of the second component here. It is completely the pure first component which is present. So in this case, the pressure exerted by only the first component is the pure vapor pressure of component 1, right? P1 naught. So this is your P1 naught. Now in this case, you can see chi1 is equal to 0. That means there is no component 1. There is only chi2 is equal to 1. That means there is only the second component which is present. So this is the vapor pressure exerted by the pure component 2. Okay, so I hope it is clear. So now what happens initially, this is the vapor pressure of the pure component 1. Now once 1 and 2 gets mixed up, what will happen? The vapor pressure will start decreasing. That is chi1 was initially 1, it will start decreasing and it will reach to 0. Same way, the vapor pressure of the pure component 2 is here and that will also start decreasing as we introduce the other component. So that is how the graph is proceeding. You can see from here it is reducing to 0 and here it is reducing to the 0. So vapor pressure is decreasing by the addition of another component. So this is the part where you can get the P total, that is P1 plus P2. This difference will give you P1 plus P2, which is P total. So I hope that is clear. This is the graph. So following conclusions can be drawn from the equation. Total vapor pressure of the solution can be related to the mole fraction of any one component. So either we can represent it in form of first component or second component, right? Total vapor pressure over the solution varies linearly with the mole fraction of component 2. Depending on the vapor pressure of the pure components 1 and 2, total vapor pressure over the solution decreases or increases with the increase of mole fraction of component 1. So that I have already explained with this graph. Right. Now, moving on, the composition of vapor phase in equilibrium with the solution is determined the partial pressure of the components. Now, if Y1 and Y2 are the mole fraction of components 1 and 2 in the vapor phase, okay. So, till now we have discussed in the liquid phase. Now, if the components Y1 and Y2 are in the vapor phase, then using the Dalton's equation, the equation will become P1 is equal to, that is partial pressure of the first component is equal to Y1 into P total. It is not Y1 into P1 naught, it is Y1 into P total. It is in the case of gaseous components, right? That is 1 and 2 are gaseous. In that case, this is the format you have to take. Now, P2 is equal to Y2 into P total. So, in general, you can write Pi is equal to Yi into P total in case of gaseous components. Clear? So, this is the equation. Now, as I told you in the beginning, Raoult's law is a special case of Henry's law. So, you can compare these two equations itself and see what was Henry's law. P is equal to Kh into chi. And what was Raoult's law? P is equal to, that is, for example, we can take P1. P1 is equal to P1 naught into chi1. So, from here itself, you can see partial pressure on both sides. You have mole fraction on both sides. But you have Henry's constant here and pure vapor pressure here. That is the only difference. So, you can see it's a special case of Henry's law. On comparison of Raoult's law and Henry's law, it is observed that the total pressure of volatile component or gas is directly proportional to its mole fraction. Right. In case of Henry's law, the proportionality constant is Kh, that is Henry's law, and it is different from P1 naught, which is the vapor pressure of the pure component, which is used in Raoult's law. So that is the only difference you can see here. In both sides, you have partial pressure and you have mole fraction also. Kh and P1 naught is the only difference here. So you can say that Raoult's law is a special case of Henry's law. Right. So in the next session, we are going to study the vapor pressure of solid and liquid solutions. Right, as well as what are ideal and non-ideal solutions, and then what are azeotrophs, and as well as the very important part, which is colligative properties. So I hope the concepts that I've covered in this session is clear for you. So that's all for today. Thank you.